Hello, my dear kiddos. Warm welcome to this session. So, today we are going to see the second largest phylum under the animal kingdom, which is Mollusca. So, last lecture was the largest phylum, which is arthropods, and today it's Mollusca. So, you can see the background here where you can see a small snail. Of course, it's a soft bodied organism, right? So the soft-bodied organisms fall under mollusca, right? And they usually have a shell, as you can see in this snail, right? So let us now get into the session, and this is going to be our ninth lecture. And as usual, first the general characteristics, followed by the typical characters. So talking about the habit and habitat, so you can call them the soft-bodied organisms. Okay. Basically, mollusca are nothing but the soft-bodied organism like that of a snail, octopus. All of these will fall under this category. So talking about habit and habitat. Habitat, if you see, they are both terrestrial and aquatic. And aquatic, under aquatic, if you see, they can be freshwater and marine. Body organization, of course, organ system level. And children, talking about the habit, they can be solitary, right? And they can, of course, free living. Body organization, if you see, organ system as usual, just like the arthropods and the annelids. Body symmetry, bilateral symmetry, but there is an exception here. Bilateral symmetry, but there is an exception. So there is a class called gastropoda, where these gastropods usually are asymmetrical. Those shells, right? So they are asymmetrical. Then body coelom, of course, eucoelom, under which it is schizocoelom. And then the germ layer, it is triploblastic. And body plan, of course, tube within tube. And they are also protostomates. Segmentation is actually absent here, but there is an exception which I am going to show you in the next slide. So quickly copy it down. Yeah. So I told you usually the segmentation is absent, but if you see this neopilina, right, which is a mollusca, but you can see the segments, beautiful segments there, right? You can see that they are segmented. So this is an exception. So one exam perspective question is, this neopilina is a connecting link between mollusca and annelids. So it has all the features of mollusca, right? The soft body with a shell and all, but it has segments like that of an annelida. So it's a connecting link between mollusca and annelida. And then the typical characteristics. So I have a blank slide here in order to do a small outline of how a mollusca's body looks like. So it won't be like this, the shape and all. It's a rough sketch of all the parts involved, okay? So this will be a calcareous shell, right? A shell made up of calcium, right? Usually even if you see the snails, you can see the shell there, right? A hard shell. And then this cavity which you're seeing here is called the mantle cavity, and this completely we call it the mantle, or you can call it pallium. And this is the anus, this is the antenna, and here we call this the radula. Very important, I'll tell you what it is. And then here you see something, right? So this you call it Ctenidias. Yeah, Ctenidias, which is nothing but filamentous gill-like structure, which helps in, if you see, both respiration as well as in excretion. And this basic thing you call it the muscular foot. Even if you say the snail, let me draw a rough diagram of a snail. It will have an antenna, right? And then it will have the calcareous shell, and then if you see, it will have a muscular foot like this, right? So that it attaches to a substratum and it moves, right? So so basically this is a rough sketch of a mollusca. Right. So digestion here, if you see, is of course complete digestion, extracellular digestion. One important thing is, I told you a structure called radula, right? What is this radula now? Radula, exact words in the NCERT, if you see, file-like rasping structure. Yeah, or rasping organ, you can say, which helps in nothing but catching the food. Very important point under digestion. Respiration, as I told you, Ctenidias will help in respiration, which is nothing but they are gill-like structures, right, which help in exchange of gases. Circulation, if you see, of course, most of them will have open circulatory system. Mostly. But there is an exception, which is octopus. So we call it exception is class Cephalopoda, which is nothing but octopus. Octopuses, if you see, they say that they have eyes like humans and they are also equally intelligent, right? Yes, so they have a closed circulatory system. Okay, and then excretion again, Ctenidias will help in so we call it the organ of Bojanus or Keber's organ, which acts like both, which helps in both respiration and excretion. Then nervous system and sense organ. Okay, so they have very simple nervous system, which is nothing but they have ganglia. Ganglia is nothing but collection of cell bodies, cell body of a neuron, right? So it's a collection of cell body. And talking about the sense organ, they have statocyst for maintaining the body balance. Yeah, and then they have an antenna, and also they have antenna as in the tentacles, antenna for the sensation and all, and the tentacles to throw out and catch the prey. And they have stalked eyes, Reproduction here, if you see, they can both be unisexual and bisexual, which means internal and external fertilization is absorbed. And if you see development, it can be direct and indirect. For indirect, you have to know the larval names, right? So trochophore, glochidium, these are the larva names. Just know the larva names: trochophore, veliger, and glochidium. So octopus, you all know. Sepia, this octopus children, as I told, they have eyes like that of a human, and also they are intelligent. Sepia is also like an octopus, but it will give out ink as a means of defense mechanism. If you have seen the Discovery or Animal Planet channels, you might have seen this will also move like an octopus, right? And it will inject out a chemical in the water, which is for protecting itself from the predator. And loligo is nothing but the squid. Some of you might have eaten also squid. And then Pinectida is nothing but the pearl oyster. Aplysia. So this Aplysia, children, can you see it's like a rabbit? It's like a sea rabbit, right? So we call it a sea hare. And then Pilla, we call it apple snail. It's like an apple, right? It's a snail which the shell almost is like an apple. And then Nautilus. Nautilus, if you see, it is a mix of a snail and an octopus, I can say. So it will have a shell-like portion here, and then it will have tentacles that like that of an octopus. Yeah. So we call it Nautilus. That's all. So a quick overview. So today what we saw is Phylum Mollusca, the habited, terrestrial, aquatic, which can be freshwater and marine, as well as it can be solitary, free living. And body organization, organ system, bilateral use, hilum, triploplastic, tube within tube, and segmentation is absent, but there is an exception. There is an exception. Which is Neopilina. Write it here also. Yeah, you can see the beautiful segments. Also, although it has a shell and a soft body, it still has a segment like that of an annelida. So we call it a connecting link between mollusca and annelida. And then this is a body structure of a mollusk, right? It has, so what is the thing which is inside is nothing but the visceral organ. Visceral organ, nothing but the internal organs you can see there, right? Yes. Digestion, radula, very important. File-like rasping organ is the exact term in the NCRT. And then respiration, Tenedias is very important. Even in the case of excretion, we call it the organ of Bujanus and Keber's organ. And please know the exception. Most of them are open circulatory, but except the cephalopods, which is the octopuses, which have closed circulatory system. Nervous system, very simple. They have collection of cell bodies, which is ganglia. And the sense organs, statosis, tentacles, and stalked eyes. And yeah, reproduction aspect is given. Unisexual and bisexual. Internal, external fertilization, direct, indirect development. And the examples: octopus, sepia, loligo, Pinectida, Aplysia, Pilla, and Nautilus. And the homework for today: the respiration and excretion. One unique organ involved in respiration and excretion in mollusca. I want you to name that in the comment box. And then, what is radula and what it does? Okay, so that's all for today. We have completed mollusca. I hope you all enjoyed this session. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the session. That's all for today. So the next is going to be echinodermata and hemichordata. With that, we'll be completing the non-chordates, and then we will start the chordates. Yes, so almost we are in the verge of completing the animal kingdom. That's all, children. So do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to share to your friends. Let everybody be benefited. Yes, have an open mind and an open heart. Okay, children, that's all. So with that, we are winding up today. Tada, bye bye, and take care.